Hey,
such a
Tyler.
pleasure to speak with you both. I really enjoyed Plankton the movie.
Oh,
Mr.
cool.
Lawrence, first off, so you have a story credit here, and you
Yes.
co-wrote the film, which, you're a writer on the show, so that's a very natural fit. But what were the biggest challenges of doing a full feature film versus a short episode? There's a lot of meat to this.
Yeah. There's a lot more to consider when you're doing a movie, of course. Um, but it was also just trying to figure out, like, the idea came from a special that I wanted to do. Um, but then that's where you realize when they came up with, hey, we'd like to try to do some movie with Sandy and with Plankton. And clicking that into it, I said, "Oh wow, we could, because a special would have been great with this idea, but I think it was sort of made for a movie, and it would have been something that normally we would have been racking our brains for a year trying to figure out what is the Plankton movie's gonna be, and instead it was kind of sitting there when I was already working on it, so just luck, you know. Some kind of zeitgeist thing happening at the same time for us. So it worked out, but to me that's what made it that we could really go epic with the story and really, have Karen dominate and do her thing, and that in a special, I think it would have been lost a little. I think it would have been too, we wouldn't have been enough time to feel that this is
Hmm.
serious. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that feeling of, this is an epic. This is a big deal happening here. It's not just a short or a shorter version, which I think would have kind of clipped its wings. I think we got to spread out a lot with these characters in this movie.
Yeah, it definitely all worked out. And Jill, I wanted to ask you because as Mr. Lawrence was saying, this might be called Plankton the movie, but it's kind of like Karen the movie. You know,
I
she
know.
has such
Thank
a
you.
great.
Thank you, Tyler, for correcting the name.
But we see her break out on her own. She has her own plan of world domination. There's a sense of empowerment there.
Hmm.
What did you like most about that aspect of the plot?
Well, I mean, who doesn't want to be a villain? Who doesn't want to play a villain? I mean, that's, when you're like a kid and you're playing games with your siblings, everyone wants to be the bad guy. It's the meatiest thing, you can have more fun with it. So, I loved that. I loved getting, you know, to stretch and because Karen gets mad at Plankton, but like to turn evil is just like a whole new level of you know, trying to think of the right word, hamming it up for me. It was fun. I loved it. I loved taking this character that we've been doing these characters for so long and finding a new place for them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see. And Mr. Lawrence, the song numbers in this film are great. I saw Bret McKenzie worked on some of the songs
Yeah.
along with Linda Perry. I love Flight of the Concords and Four Non Blondes, so that was a real trip when I saw
Hmm.
Me
them in the
too.
credits. How is it getting to perform their songs and knowing they were coming from, such great
It was
artists?
super awesome. Like that was like one of the coolest things because they were asking who would we want to work with, and Bret McKenzie was, one of the things in my head right away because I know he writes songs in a freelance way, and Flight of the Concords is one of my favorite things. That show, their albums, the whole thing. So I was really happy about that. Linda Perry, I didn't even think about. I didn't come up with that one, and I couldn't believe it. I was like going, she's gonna work with us? Like that's,
Yeah.
oh my, So I got
Yeah.
to go to her studio and work out the songs with her, the two songs that she worked on, and that was just just that alone, just to kind of touch on the actual, music business, like a real song, a real song,
Yeah.
genius, somebody who's, I mean, aside from Four Non Blondes, she's written so many songs for so many people that are
Hmm.
amazing. And I've known about her for years, and it just all of a sudden there I'm standing in front of her. I'm like, oh my God, like
Yeah,
this is
it's
crazy.
intimidating.
It is. Yeah. I really wanted her to be, I wanted her to like what we were doing. I didn't want
Hmm.
her to go out. She had told me some horror stories about some of the I won't tell you what they were, but she said some of the crazy things she was dealing with people uh in projects she was working on at the time.
Hmm.
And she said that we were uh really great to work with. So that I was happy
She
about
was
that.
so patient and so
Yeah.
nice, and you work with someone that's what they do for a living, and that's not what you do for a living. I mean, we do voice stuff, but like singing, um, and then you come up against someone like that, and you're just like, you don't want to disappoint them, you know,
Right. Yeah.
and it puts a whole extra level of stress, And she was so comforting. She was so patient and nice, and that really helped a lot.
The
Yeah.
songs are a real joy, so you definitely did them justice for sure
Yay.
in the film. And Jill, as you mentioned, we see some, character development for Karen. She goes to the next level. She gets quite the upgrade, three heads.
Yeah.
How is it kind of finding your voices for the the different Karens out? We have like sassy, mean. There's
Yeah.
a bunch of them.
I mean, my first thought, and I guess this speaks to like my own personal insecurities or whatever as an actor, but my first thought was, I can't do that. I don't. I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm not going to be able to sing. Not going to be, And then you have like your initial panic attack of, I don't know how to do this, and then you start playing and start trying and start thinking of the voices, and then you find it, and then it becomes, you know, then it's fun. Then you start playing, and then you lock in, and that's kind of how the process was. It was sort of like Jill has a panic attack, find the voice, do the voice. Hey, this is
Yeah.
fun, and the same
But
thing with the singing.
we do that too at the sessions too. There's like that sort of always initial. We get in and we're talking, we're doing our voices and
Yeah,
clearing our throats, and then
yeah,
there
yeah,
comes that moment in the you could feel it in
yeah,
the records where we all get loose, where all of a
yeah,
sudden we're like, there's no
yeah,
more pretension, there's no more, worry, and we're just enjoying being there and going back and forth, and that's like not just on this movie, the whole everything we've done together,
yeah,
is
yeah.
always
Like,
those moments are like I love that.
yeah.
And Mr. Lawrence, I wanted to ask you because this show's been on for so long that, obviously kids are going to watch this, but also adults. There's a lot of nostalgia for SpongeBob. And
Yeah.
this film has this wonderful theme of kind of not taking your partner for granted and being appreciative. How was it kind of layering that? So, like, this is a really fun watch for kids, but like, even the adults that check in on this are going to leave with something to think about.
Yeah, we had to steer it, certainly, because we go too far into, you could take that way too far, and
Mm-hmm.
then and then it's not fun anymore. It's it's just
Yeah.
sort of real life, and you know,
A couple arguing.
yeah, yeah. But and because I mean, Jill's married and I'm married, so we're we know what that is. We
Mm-hmm.
understand married life,
Mm-hmm.
so you want to bring something to it that feels authentic with the characters, which
Right.
I think we did, initially when
Yeah.
the show started. Um, but I feel like that's uh, something that the show is always about being fun. Even if we do something sad, even if we do something
Mm-hmm.
angry, we sort of undercut it with humor, which is the style of our show, and it has been the style of all the movies, is the characters in general. SpongeBob has always been, trying to stay funny. We just want to be funny all the time. So, so even though we touch on these things that are adult, I think it's kid friendly.
Mm-hmm.
It's family friendly. Everybody will get it. Because I mean, kids are kids, but they know their parents are married.
Yeah.
That or they know who their parents are. And they know they're together, or whatever the situation
And
is.
they're smart. They see
Yeah, they're
that like
smart.
you can have you can have disagreements and stuff and still love each other. And Karen
Yeah,
and Plankton are the perfect example of that. They truly love each other. And,
they stay together. Yeah.
yeah.